Hello, everybody. This is Sarah's, and check it out, a new video, and it's only been a week. Oh my gosh, yeah, I should not sing. Oh, yeah. Originally, I was aiming to try to have this a weekly update, but as you see from the 2 videos on my channel, there was a big lapse between videos. We're gonna change that. Feel free to comment, tell me what I can improve, what you liked, what you didn't like. Share it with your friends, get their feedback. Anything to help me be a better narrator and to be an entertaining artist for you. What is wrong with my life that all the subjects that I decide to share with people on the internet are these heavy pieces of crap? I mean, the very first video is like, Tumblr ate my art blog, and I loved Tumblr, and Tumblr was just shaboomy to me. And the next one is like, hoarding and the blame game, and talking about how screwed up my childhood was growing up with a hoarder. And now I'm talking about how I was raised racist. Can I talk about puppies or kittens or funny videos or anime or video games? No, I gotta talk about racism and hoarding and screwed up algorithms. You know what? The script is written. I am at 7 p.m. on Friday and I want to stick to my schedule and I'm gonna do it. So, without further ado, on with the subject. So, I grew up racist. And I was racist for a while, and there were some things that I didn't realize that I was racist. You think racism is hate, but I mean, a lot of my biases came from fear and lack of understanding. I mean, it's, you know what? We're gonna start from the beginning. We're gonna start from the beginning and work our way up. So, as a child, with your little child brain that hasn't experienced maliciousness or backstabbingness, at worst deals with the mean kid in school that just calls you stupid, which is the worst thing a little kid can do to you because that's the worst thing that has happened to you to that point in your life. There are things you believe when you're growing up. I believe some really kind of cute stuff and kind of strange stuff. I mean, for one, I didn't know my parents had names. I thought their names were Mom and Dad. Well, actually, Mommy and Daddy. My mom would not let me call her Mom. And my dad, he didn't care, but I called him Daddy. But yeah, I thought her name was Mom, or my last name, and Dad, my last name. And the same thing went for my grandparents. It was Grandma, Mother's old last name, Grandma, Father's last name, etc. They didn't have actual names. I thought that was their names. I didn't realize it was a title. Alright, so all you expecting parents out there, one of the funnest things to do to a preschooler is tell them that their socks are on the wrong feet. My mother teased the heck out of my sister with this. My sister would be laying there on the blanket having pulled her socks on. She'll raise her feet up and say, Mom, are my socks on the right feet? She'll be like, no, they're on the wrong feet. Oh, okay. And then she'll switch them. But instead of thinking that she switched them, she'll raise her feet again and say, how about now? No, they're still on the wrong feet. Okay. And she'd switch them again. Oh my gosh, those were good times. Think about the sock story. My sister showed her socks to my mom, and she said they were on the wrong feet. So she showed them again. They're still on the wrong feet. And if you think about it, it's like when you're that little, your parents are not wrong. You don't understand that they're human and they make mistakes, and they may have a mistaken point of view. You believe everything they say. Disappointing your parents is the worst thing that you could possibly do. And another thing your parents tell you is Martin Luther King is the devil. Oh, shoot, I hope people watch this video to the end, because this is a really raw part in my past, and it's like I'm not proud of it, and I'm still trying to educate myself. I still make mistakes, because I was raised with some horrible habits for 20 plus years, and I've only had a few to correct them, and I'm still learning. The day I learned that Martin Luther King was the devil was about first grade, third grade. I was in grade school, and I was still pretty young. And here's the ironic thing. School in the South decided to observe Martin Luther King Day and had no class. And I thought, oh, that's cool. But I wasn't old enough to be taught about racism yet. I didn't know about the slavery and all that. The school decided to be out for that day, and I was happy to not have school. My mom, not so much. But it wasn't because she had to deal with her kids, it was because of why the school was out. And I remember sitting at my grandmother's kitchen table while my grandmother was making the little meal for us. We were having a little family get together. My grandmother's conversationally asking, "So why are you out of school today?" "It's 'cause it's Martin Luther King Day," I'd say. And my mom said, "You mean Martin Lucifer King Day?" And I was confused. I was like, I asked what Martin Luther King did. And she didn't tell me anything about fighting for rights or equality or helping to spearhead a movement that had been building up until that point. She said he caused a diner that she liked to be shut down. And that's why she didn't like him. And that he was mean for doing that. And now that I'm older, I realize now that what happened to the diner was a sit-in protest to fight segregation because it was a whites-only diner. And instead of the cook serving the people of color that were doing the sit-in, he refused to serve them and thus lost money, and it persisted until it had to shut down because he couldn't pay for everything. But I wasn't older back then. I was a little kid. And naturally, I believed my mother. And slowly, with the comment here and a remark there, I began to think black people equal bad. And this really got cemented during Sunday school. Now, I don't remember if it was my father or my mother or a Sunday school teacher. I remember hearing it in junction with church, and I remember my Sunday school teacher telling me some of this story. This is disgusting. Warning: sensitive content. I am about to discuss very sensitive subjects that may not be suitable to minors. And while I would love you to watch to the end, if you want to, have your parents watch it first and just let them decide, because worldviews evolve and develop over time, and I don't want you guys to hear something you're not ready for that could possibly hurt your point of view and make you think all churches are bad. All churches are not bad. I've met good Christians, I've met bad Christians, I've met evil Christians, and I've met saintly Christians. This story does not mean all Baptist churches are bad. They're not. But the story is. So, without further ado, the story I was told. When I was little, I didn't know what whitewashing was. I thought all the pictures in my little children's Bible and all the pictures and statues hanging on the wall and behind the pulpit, they were made during that time by artists that lived at that time. Yeah, I had the ethnicities all wrong. And when we were discussing the flood, I remember asking my Sunday school teacher, well, why are there different colored people? Noah was white. And she said that he had different colors of sons. And that's where the different colors of people came from. Because I didn't see a picture of them, but I was a kid and what adults said was law, I believed her. And then the next part I was taught was that black people were bad. They were bad and they were repentant for sin the same way Eve was for her sins. Because Eve sinned, childbirth hurt. Women were meant to serve men because of Eve. And they said that black people had to serve white people because of what Noah's black son did. They said that the black son got Noah drunk and raped him. And that is why all black people are bad. I had preliminary education on don't let the adult touch you in your no spot. But I always thought it was something that a grown man did to a girl. And I knew that rape was a bad thing a man did to a woman, because my mom had taught me that much. I mean, I was confused and I was asking, how can a guy rape a guy? I mean, I didn't understand any of that. And they said, we can't tell you, but it can be done. And of course, now that I'm an adult, of course I know how it happened, according to them. And because of growing up with these viewpoints, surrounded by these kind of people, I developed a horrible bias, and I looked down my nose on people who were different from me, because I thought, because I'm white, I am good, and because they are black, they are bad. Going to school in the South, it was all white people, and I didn't get exposed to other races and worldviews and other beliefs. And looking back, that was horrible. It was messed up. So after high school, I was raised to think I was worthless, replaceable, stupid. So I tried to get a job at McDonald's. I got to meet so many different kinds of people. I mean, it was amazing. I started to realize that some of my meanest and most hateful customers and some of my meanest and most hateful coworkers were white. And some of my nicest and most understanding customers and coworkers weren't. It was mind-boggling, and as the years went on, and I got exposed to more and more and more, and then I went to college. College was the huge eye-opener for me. I was getting taught by all kinds of professors, not just white old men. There were young women, there were people from Mexico and South America, and African American and Chinese, and every race under the sun. It was liberating. And slowly I started feeling my bias go away. And I realized how twisted my point of view had to have become. And there are a lot of people that don't have the opportunities I did. If you're willing to educate yourself and experience the world, while I was in elementary school, while I was in middle school, while I was in Sunday school, while I was in church, while I was under my parents' roof, while I was in high school, I was surrounded by a racist rhetoric that I thought was normal. I grew up racist, and it was reinforced during my formative years. But thanks to going for a higher education, I'm proof people can change. I still catch myself sometimes. I may say something and not realize how hurtful it is. But I have friends that will correct me and say, hey, you know that's not cool, right? I'm like, wait a minute, why? And then I learn. And that little bit of racism that's been instilled in me since my first cognitive thought goes away a little more. People can change. Because if we don't change, if we don't evolve, we perish. We can change. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked this talk, and I apologize for another heavy video. I will hopefully work on something lighthearted very soon for you guys. But until then, take care, blessed be, go out there, and keep creating.